Well, there's Joe showing off his athletic prowess. Let's see, that's Heartland Street before there were any trees on it. And there are the girls, David Brown and Ann and Jane. Mark Reimer, I guess. Let's see. That would be Ann. And one of our 398 Christmas trees. They don't make them like that anymore. This is Christmas in 1961, I believe. The dart game. Look at that little tree in the backyard. Boy, has it grown. Would you believe that was Bob and this is Buzz? Buzz patrolling his territory. Who is that young guy? Look at that form. And there's Judy with her little sister. There's Judy with her two little sisters. Joe and Bob dressed up for their one time during the year. The front of the house, while you could still see the house from the foliage. And there's that 59 Chevy station wagon. That was a good car. They don't make them like that anymore. Hi, Judy. Hi, Bob. Hi, Jane. Cigar smoker, boy.
On his way to church.
Yeah. And there's Mother. I'm not sure what that is.
From that angle.
Yeah. Jane is recognizable from any angle. I don't even remember how we were able to hide eggs in that yard. And that was a dirty trick, putting it in a cactus. That's before we added the family room. Those pretty Easter dresses. Somebody used to bring those around periodically. What?
Bob Halden, for his daughters, would hire them.
Here's that famous Little League season. I don't know whether this was the one when Joe broke all the records or not, but
I was 10 this year.
oops. This is down in Sepulveda Basin. It's just where all the games are played. Uh-oh, another home run. There's the parents threatening the umpire.
Pat Brock.
Yeah, I believe that was Pat Brock. And Daddy Joe visiting in 1961. This was the year that they rented an apartment. I think this was the year. And Mama Ruth, she looks about the same as she does now, doesn't she?
Is that a compliment now or an insult then?
Oh, it's a compliment. Oh, here we are at, let's see, where is that? Huntington Library? Yeah, we took them to Huntington Library. Martee was dressed up, and they saw some of the best of Southern California that day. I guess Huntington Library looks pretty much the same as it did then. And there's little Ann taking care of little Julia, or little Lauren. You didn't realize what that was presaging, did you, Ann? Let's see, what was it? This was where was? Oh, this was up in Sequoia. No, this was Quaking Aspen, I believe.
That was our first camp.
Our first camping trip.
We showed up there in the rain, remember that?
Yeah, it rained. We got a campsite that was still dry because somebody had just taken down a tent. Our tent. Now this is on. This is still Quaking Aspen. And there's our first campsite. Martee was smart. She stayed home. But this was the first family camping trip, and the first of many. I think we went camping for about 13 years uninterrupted after this. This must still be in Quaking Aspen. Quaking Aspen is right above Porterville. It's a beautiful spot. I remember that view. We drove up, not to the end of the road, but where we saw that.
That's the old car top carrier there.
Yep, that's the old car top carrier that, see, I think I made that in Florida. Now we're in Sequoia. That would be General Sherman himself. There's the road between Giant Forest and in Grant Grove.
That's headed down toward Lodgepole.
Towards Lodgepole, right. Boy, look at that fisherman. Look at that fisherman. This is about the only time that I think I ever tried fly fishing in California. I never was what you would call a fisherman.
I know that.
Neither was Joe. I panned just a little bit too fast, I think, on this one. Oh, this is, now we're in, oh, this is Yosemite, yeah. There's Half Dome in the distance. Now we're at Lake Tenaya. Never will forget that camping trip. No water, we had to boil the water. And we never did really boil it enough, I don't think. But what a beautiful spot. Lake Tenaya is up on the top on that road that goes over to Tioga Pass, right?
Yeah, I remember the giant dragonflies there.
Yeah.
And Judy had some Bobby V record song she kept singing.
Now we're back in Canoga Park, I do believe. Or should I say West Hills? There's Judy in her best, her Sunday best.
Maybe your junior high graduation, I'm not sure.
And Bob. 1962 Little League season. Look at that swing. Joe used to draw a lot of walks, deliberate walks, because they didn't want to pitch to him. He was he ended up this season, I think, with a .662 batting average, which is sort of unbelievable. That now we're in suddenly from Sepulveda Basin to Sequoia again.
Should get a ticket for that now.
Yeah, I'm surprised that any of the pool girls would feed the animals. We're admiring the redwoods again. We did that every year. Oh, at the Wolverton Pond, which I think is now dried up, but yeah, I think they allowed it to dry up. This was on the route to Alta Peak. Not Alta Peak, Pear Lake, Roaring Falls, and Kings Canyon. A real spectacular place. Kings Canyon is a beautiful national park. Lots of water, as you can see. And here's one of our many campsites. Kings Canyon in the Cedar Grove area wasn't really our favorite campsite, but it was very nice because after a rain there, as was the case here, there were waterfalls coming off the mountains on both sides. Really, really spectacular. Now we're back at 23238 Heartland Street. Jane is growing up a little bit and is looking a little more like Jane, and so is Anne. Hey girls, those are poison. Don't you know that? Anne didn't realize, or Jane didn't realize at the time, but that would be her house someday. There's Martee at Grand Canyon. Well, we jump around, don't we? The pools get around. This was the year that Martee and I rode the mules down into the canyon, down to Phantom Ranch. Boy, what an experience that was. Our guide's name was Shorty. There's, I don't know whether that's Shorty or not, but that's looking down into the canyon. I remember, and there we are at Phantom Ranch, where we had cabins and a pool, a swimming pool, lots of good food. But I remember riding down and looking between my left stirrup and the belly of the mule, and there was the river about 1,000 feet below me. I understand that Phantom Ranch is closed up now too. And there's Martee admiring the view. Grand Canyon always was, and it still is, one of my favorite places. The Sierras and Grand Canyon you can't beat. Oh yeah, I remember these Indians did a rain dance, and it actually rained shortly after that. But this was kind of interesting. This was a kind of camping that Martee liked. She wouldn't have any part of tent camping, but if you could stay in a motel, she'd go for it. Oh, in 1963, I presented a paper to the IEEE in New York, and to the winter general meeting, and took Martee along with me. Found out later that she was just felt lousy the whole time because she was coming down with a cold or something. But I think she had a pretty good time anyway. Here we are taking off from LAX. And that's in the plane. A view out the window, a typical tourist. And here we are in the United Nations building in New York. First time either one of us had seen this, or seen the United Nations. We had both been to New York before, but looks like a foggy day.
Friendly looking place.
There's some snow there, it looks like. I don't remember that. I guess there was snow. This was in February. There's the Empire. No, that's the Chrysler building, I believe. Need Carolyn to identify these buildings. She was living in New York at the time. No, I take that back. She had already moved to California. This is George. This is New York Stock Exchange. And that's that church, which is right in Lower Manhattan. I've forgotten what the name of it is.
Where they do the money dance.
Yeah. Do the money dance there. Yeah, I got some pretty good shots of the. This is down at the Battery, right? And oh, that's the Fort Monmouth General Hospital where Bob was born. Oh, yeah, we took a run down to New Jersey to see this. Brings back memories to Martee, I'm sure. She points out the room even. And then this is the chapel where we had Bob christened. Nowadays we would call it dedicated, but then we called it christened. A good old Fort Monmouth. Even looks like a fort with those cannons, doesn't it? And there's some of the barracks. I think this was in the general area where I was when I was in basic training. When this is the house at Monmouth Beach that we rented, it was, what a deal. Right on the beach, a beautiful brick house, and just a wonderful place. Unbelievable luck in finding it. And here we are back in New York. Oh, that tetherball that we used to have in the driveway.
Look how clean the garage is.
Yeah. Hey, Jane, look at that garage. There's Bob, the graduate. Notice how slim he is. Oh, back to another season of Little League. I don't think Joe was ever on a winning team, even though he was a real good player. He just never was on a winning team for some reason. Here it comes. Strike one. Uh-oh, he got it that time. Just a single. No, it must have been an out.
For some reason, you got lots of Little League footage here.
Yeah, well, the Little League action was pretty good to put on film, but So that's why there's a lot of it. That catcher's having a time, isn't he? He's another one. In those days, the parents didn't get so vicious with the players and the teams as they do now, as from what I understand. It was right enjoyable to be a part of the Little League family. This is Jacopuzzi Field. Guido Jacopuzzi, as I recall, provided the means to set these up, build the backstops and whatnot. There's Judy and Linda Zimmer, right. Yeah, we do have a lot of Little League footage here.
I don't know how that happened.
Joe got a triple on that one. Notice in the background there's a lot of smog on this Saturday morning. You can't see the mountains. Actually, the smog is probably better. Smog conditions are better now than they were in 1963. Wow. Home run. Now we're in a playoff game. I know that because of freeways in the background. It's a Ventura freeway that you see there. You can, yeah, that's right. This is an all-star game. As you can see, Little League was a big event in the household during these years. As a perennial snow cone. Now here we are at this Lake Arrowhead? I believe it is. Yeah, Lake Arrowhead. There's Jane. Kind of interesting to see the kids grow up in these things from year to year. As you notice, I had developed the technique of panning a little better by now. Yeah, Anne's missing, and some teeth, and there's Martee, and there's Judy. And where are we here? Oh, Alpine. This was a church camp that Judy and some of her friends. There's. Oh golly. There's Irrepressible Ann,
Personality.
Personality Plus, and Mark Reimer trying to take his turn at watering.
Trying to do that.
Yeah. Ann always watered well. I will say this, Ann did water though. She was the only one of the Pool kids that watered. Here we are. Let's see now.
Looks like Jane to me. Whoops, no, Ann.
That's Ann, yeah. This would be, oh, this is in Topeka Falls. Topeka Falls. Tokapa? Whatever. Up above Lodgepole. This water comes from Pear Lake, where we hiked many times. Oops, yeah, you're right.
Look at who's out there on the watchtower.
Yeah. The ranger is explaining the wonders of nature to us. Now we're at one of the lower lakes, Emerald Lake, I think. See, there were 3 lakes. Emerald. Oh, it's a second.
Heather and an Aster too, I think.
Heather Lake, and then the top one was Pear Lake. And I think that's Alta Peak up there, which is right above Pear Lake, with some snow up, tucked away, hadn't all melted. Little Ann without her teeth. This was always one of my favorite hikes, to climb up to these lakes. I remember the first time we went up there was a couple of men that took pictures of the girls so they could show their wives that little kids could in fact climb that. Their wives wouldn't let them bring their sons with them.
That's like a 14-mile round trip.
Right, it's a 14-miler round trip, about 7 miles from where you start at near Wolverton.
Nice hiking boots, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I guess they'd been waiting, I don't know. Getting a drink of water. Martee would have flipped if she could have seen that. But of course that water is pretty good up there. In fact, it's very good. Beautiful shot. Ann was always happy going downhill. You know, we have a lot of memories from Lodgepole, Sequoia National Park, Alta Peak, and all the others. Let's see, this is where... Oh, this is Morrow Rock. No trip to Sequoia is complete until you've climbed Morrow Rock. Yeah, Ann does remind me of Adam with those teeth missing. I can see a lot of characteristics of the kids and Ann. Yeah, this is Crescent Meadow, and then probably in the Congress group or the Congress Trail. Maybe not. No, this is... That looks like Kings Canyon there, but...
I think it is. I think that's that Mist Falls.
Mist Falls, That's right. This is Mist Falls, I'm sure. I also am sure that there were a lot of mosquitoes there. I remember that very well. Big, fat, healthy mosquitoes. But look at that water. Wow. Yeah, that is something else. All these are things you have to see. You have to get off the beaten trail a little bit to see. Not this, but the Mist Falls, for example. This is the old swimming hole at Cedar Grove. Some people like to pick on their little sisters. That water, by the way, is cold. And there's a famous tent, famous mustache. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then in 1963, Martee and I went to Catalina and saw, I guess this was our first trip to Catalina. That's something everyone should do, I think, is spend a day or so on Catalina. So close to to Los Angeles, and yet so different. The boats were not quite as crowded then as they are now. Carolyn and I were there a few years ago, and it's just bumper to bump, hull to hull boats, most of them large boats. And there's the casino, which was quite the place back in the 40s and 50s with all the big bands. That's the Great White Steamer, which is not running anymore. And I think they call this Seal Rocks. There's a lot of seals call this home. We took a boat ride up the coast of Catalina to Twin Harbors, and that's where we were here. Yeah, this is up at Twin Harbors. Later on, I went over there on a job with Rockwell. We were doing some work on the oceanographic installation there that USC has. Okay, in '64, Martee and I took a trip to Palm Springs and rode the tram up to the top of Mount San Jacinto. And that is another recommended experience. That's a lot of fun. It was hot in Palm Springs, but you can see the way it is on the top of Mount San Jacinto. It's beautiful. I think I got a picture here somewhere of Martee taking a pratfall. You can see that it's fairly warm up there, even though there's snow. And you have a magnificent view of the Palm Springs area. And I'm not sure, I guess those are cloud, that's just desert out there that we see. And here comes one of the tram cars that I guess they pass halfway. And now we transfer to the beach, and which is one of the nice things about Southern California. You got a lot of choices. There's Jane growing up a little bit, and a little.
Must be Judy.
What do you call those? Anemones,
Anemones.
yeah. And here's the fabulous Petty family when they visited California in 1964. There's Bill, and there's Bill. The other one was Bobby. Playing ping pong on the back patio. There's Buzz scratching. Buzz was a cute little dog. There's Bill, yeah. Remember we got a family.
Chris.
There's little Chris, yeah. Hi, Chris. How you doing? And here's Chris taking a little fall, as I read, bumping his head. Yep, that's it. He survived.
There's Rick.
There's Rick, uh-huh. There's Bob Bob McElrath, and Bob again. Robert. Hi, Robert. Dot and Robert and Betsy. And here's the whole mob. Kind of hard to get all of them in with that narrow lens camera. And here the Petties are getting ready to take off for Alabama. It's really interesting to look up and down Heartland Street and see how the view has changed due to the tree growth. And there's Donna Rehnquist, and she visited. I guess she was there at the same time. I didn't remember that. There's a Petties from Orlando, Florida. I said they were going to Alabama. They lived in Florida at that time. All loaded up and ready to blast off. Robert never did like to fly. He didn't mind driving, but he just didn't want to fly. Oh, here's some footage on Donna Rehnquist visiting Judy. Donna is married now and is a foster parent to about 12 kids. And here's Crescent Meadow, I believe, in Sequoia. Now at the end of which is Tharp's Log. The girls are a little bigger now. Ann still likes to jump.
Looks like Jane to me.
Building dams. That was the favorite activity at Lodgepole.
Looks like Judy.
Yeah. First backpack trip.
Remember where we went?
We went to a place called Twin Lakes, wasn't it? And
Showed up there in the rain.
it was raining, and we didn't have equipment. We just sort of kludged together a backpack and sleeping bags and so forth. And we got up there, and it was threatening rain, and not only threatening, but raining a little bit. But we survived. But I was chewing my fingernails the whole time because this was the first time that we had ventured out away from a base camp like we did. We spent one night up there. It was about a 5 or 6 mile one-way hike, I think. Let's see, where would that be? That's still Twin Lakes. Yeah, oh yeah, sure. Yep, that's... The color leaves a little something to be desired here, doesn't it?
I think that's Solomon Pass there, or Mount Solomon. I'm not sure of that thing.
Solomon Pass or Mount Solomon. See who has the big pack.
Remember passing those Boy Scouts?
Yeah, yeah. On this trip, we going up, we passed a whole troop of Boy Scouts, and they were having to take a break about every 20 or 30 minutes, and we passed them, and Scoutmaster says, "Off the trail, boys, and let the little girls through."
This is our favorite campsite.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the bears.
This was the place there in Lodgepole where the bear attack our picnic basket one night. And the picnic basket survived. The favorite pastime of the girls was combing their hair and going down to a giant forest to take a shower.
Must be Anne's birthday.
Okay, she did make it. Judy finally graduated, and with a lot of honors. She was Canoga High Spirit and got several scholarships and whatnot. And you can tell she was very upset about graduating. And the girls are happy to know that she's going to be moving out and they can get her room and all that. Here's the graduation, and Judy and Jim McElrath were in the same graduating class. I don't know whether there's a shot of Jim in here or not. This was an outdoor graduation in the what is now the football field at Canoga High. There's Jim. Hi, Jim. Yeah, you put his name up there. And there they are, the whole class. Now that's a snowflower, I know that. See, this is 1965. Don't know who that is. Is that Joe? I think so, yeah.
Your favorite waterfall,
Yep. And this is in sort of the, not meadow, but the little valley between the falls and Lodgepole Campground. This was a good spot to stop and rest and look at the water. Meanwhile, back at the camp, we're gonna do our hair again. Judy was a pretty good little mother. She kind of took care of Jane and Ann and kept them on the ball, washing their hair. Oh boy. Another spectacular view of the Sierras. And this is from, again, on the way up to Pear Lake. Oh, Watchtower, right. There's those unnamed falls that I can't pronounce. Little snow bank. I don't know whether this is, I guess this is Pear Lake. Yeah, there's quite a bit of snow this year around Pear Lake. And that's looking up towards Alta Peak, I think. You can see the runoff from the melting snow across the lake there. Now for a timeout for a snowball fight and a little horseplay in the snow. Pear Lake is a beautiful lake. I'm glad there wasn't a rock under that.
Classic form.
Yeah, classic form. I guess Bob is taking these pictures. I don't know. Photographer didn't stand a chance here. That's a good shot of a snowball there. Okay, here we are. The dam builders are at work again. Okay, it looks like we're in San Francisco now. There's Martee, and we were making a tour up through Northern California this particular time. There's Golden Gate Bridge. The first bridge was the Bay Bridge. And then this is Mara Rock from below. A view of the divide, the Great Western Divide. I think from Mara Rock. Or, no, I guess this was all from the highway going up to Sequoia. Happy birthday, Ann. 1965. Let's see, how old was Ann then?
Born in 56.
So she'd be 9 years old. She's having a problem there with those matches. Hurry up, Ann. Light that candle. Looks like a fire hazard. I don't think she ever got them. Yes, she did. She got them lit. She blew them out. Now everybody's singing happy birthday, and Buzz is barking. And
Licking the cake.
licking the cake off of her arm and trying to guess what's in that package, and she's happy. Judy's not going to wait. She's going to dig in. Now she's going to find out what's in that package. There's that famous table that Anne now has in her family room. Oh, she got a new dress. Is this all birthday stuff? I guess it is. More clothes. 9 years old. Her teeth are gradually filling in. There's Mom and Dad. And Buzz.
Guess who the photographer was on this one?
Yeah. I wonder who took that. Probably Joe. He likes to get down there where the food is.
Bob liked all the art shots.
You think Bob took that? Buzz, don't let Bob do that to you. Another Christmas tree. Christmas 1965. We always had very pretty Christmas trees, I thought.
Mousetrap.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty neat little game. Christmas morning at the Pools. The shambles continues to grow. A little gas fire in the fireplace looks pretty real, doesn't it? Now, this would be Anza Borrego, probably. Yep. Anza Borrego State Park. Out in the desert. Beautiful place. And I think this is in a place known as Hellhole Canyon, where we used to pull a trailer and camp. Martee never liked to stay in an established campsite, so we roughed it. Acacia bloom. And there's a famous truck with a camper shell. Some of the beautiful desert flowers. There's Judy and Ann. Ann's getting tall now. I must have liked those flowers. There's Joe absorbing a little Southern California sunshine. On this same trip we went to Mount Palomar, which is not far from Anza Borrego. It's really an interesting place. Very beautiful. This is the Mount Palomar parking lot.
That's where they had the Hale telescope.
Uh-huh. There's Jimmy, McElris, and the Pools, and Daddy Joe, and Mama Ruth again. Those were always nice little family reunions. Not quite as big as the Pool family reunions today, but nevertheless they were nice. Another birthday. David Brown at his best.
Some of the trucks brand new. Nobody doesn't.
It must be, yeah. This must be a little out of sequence. There's Ellen Boone. Hi, Ellen. And Margie. Hi, Margie. Yep, that's the truck before the shell was on it. And it had a good paint job then, if you notice. What am I doing there? Oh, I'm trying to fix the freezer. That's what it is, out in the garage. Fix the latch on it. The 1965 camp out. Sequoia, Kings Canyon, and or Yosemite. Look at that, sweeping out the tent. Boy. It's amazing how many shots we had of our camping trips.
Mm-hmm. Girls going to town.
Yeah, now what's... They're dressing up to go somewhere. Now this would be Highway 1 up towards Big Sur, Monterey.
Pretty up there.
Still just as beautiful as ever up that way.
Clear the area.
Watch out. And don't stand close. That was Ann in the background. There is the blonde Martee Pool.
Thought that was someone you met up there. Great Western Divide.
Yeah, the Great Western Divide again. That was always something I always took a picture of. I'd forgotten that Martee was blonde that time. Yeah. The descent from Morrow Rock. We counted the number of steps 3 or 4 times and never got the same number. But all I know is it's a bunch. Alta Peak in 1966. Alta Peak looks down over Pear Lake. Maybe we'll have a shot of it from up there. I don't remember. There's Jane and Judy.
It's a hard hike.
Yeah, that is. The hike is tough. The last half mile or 3/4 of a mile because it's a lot of loose gravel. Mm-hmm. Also, it's pretty high. It's up around 11,000 feet. And you're kind of gasping for air when you get up there if you're not acclimated. And I never was, so. As you can see, it's above the tree line there, too. Oh, there's Pear Lake. Really spectacular use. I'm really glad that we made all these camping trips while everybody was growing up, because I think it is really something that we'll never forget. So here's the 1966 edition of the Pool Christmas tree. And there's Jane with her braces.
AM, FM reception.
What's that? And there's Anne. And there's the Christmas stocking lineup. Bob. And the vulgar display of opulence under the Christmas tree. Hi, Judy. Same Judy. I think the trees were costing about $4.98 by now. They were going up a little. And Martee is still blonde. I didn't remember she was blonde that long.
More red now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's still blonde.
Bob's taking these pictures, as you can well imagine. He's getting the arty shots. Yeah, there's the stainless steel bowls that Anne gave Martee that year. Good pictures. Bob got some good pictures. I'll have to commend him on it. Everybody's kissing everybody. Oh boy, those morning after shots of that room, something else. I'm glad we got these actually, because it's pretty good documentation. I didn't realize that the lens on that camera would take good close-ups like that. Or bad close-ups, as the case may be. Oh boy.
This is my big near miss.
1967.
That's when I snapped my muscle in my leg.
Yeah, Joe was got off his best broad jump, and then sprained his leg or strained a muscle and wasn't able to jump anymore.
I tried to. I taped it up and took a couple more, but I couldn't do it. Tried to jump off my other leg.
Who was that?
I think that was Coach Fictum.
Victim, huh? The coach. This was at Pierce, wasn't it? Oh, East LA City College, right.
I was very frustrated.
Joe does not look happy, does he? What was this, I wonder? Must have been a birthday or something.
Mother's got a corsage there. Some sort.
Maybe it's an anniversary. Yeah, I would say it's one of our anniversaries. 1966, perhaps. Orchid. Lots of good kissing out of it. I guess those orchids pay off. $1969.
Polluting the river.
Yeah. Shaving her legs. Can you imagine? Who is that? Is that, yeah, that's, Ellen, I think. Ellen and Margie were along. Yosemite Falls. This was the year when all the waterfalls were turned on in Yosemite. We'd had a very wet winter, and this was Labor Day weekend. Probably the most beautiful time that I've ever seen in Yosemite, from the water standpoint at least. There was so much water running you couldn't really view the falls from the normal vantage points because the water was, you'd get drenched. Yeah, Black Bear. This is Vernal Falls. The waterfalls in Yosemite all have their own character. Vernal is sort of a formal waterfall. It just looks almost like it's painted or designed that way, uniform all the way across. And then this must be Nevada. Although I thought Nevada was wider than that. Nope, that's Nevada. It's got to be. Mm-hmm. Lots of water. I've never seen that much water as we saw that year.
Fresno, going home.
Headed home, right. You say Fresno? Not quite as much traffic on the freeway then as there is now. This is up at Rivers. No, this is at, Riverside. Joni and Judy and I forgot what's.
I don't know her name.
One of Judy's roommates, former roommates. In 1977.
Pregnant as usual.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
It's hope, huh? Yeah, it is hope. Josh. That hope? I hope. Where's Joanna? There she is.
Being terrorized by Josh as usual.
Yeah, yeah. Hope's not sure about this. There's Granddad. Out of the Gerry Ranch. Almost runs around like Ann used to run around. Dina and Dave. And Mom and little Hope. Yeah. This is when Dave was going to baptize the kids.
All right, they're at the driver's house?
Oh, is this at the driver's?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Scratch that then. I didn't recognize the backdrop.
Doug's here and Ann's.
Yeah, Doug and Ann. Hey, Doug, where'd you get that hairdo? There's Jane and Jeff. Boy, we're getting up to date here. Joe showing off again. That's Cindy Driver.
Who's that?
That's Hope, I think. I'm almost afraid to say. But yeah, that was Hope. Joanna. And there now we've got Misha on the scene. Buzz has long since departed, and Misha is the family dog now. Can't help but notice how Misha looks and acts a lot like Heidi.
Yeah, I think they're very similar. Does Josh seem just a little hyper to you?
Just a little. Hi, Hope. Hi, Misha. Hi, Joshua. Don't shoot. Look at that pretty white fence.
Careful.
Now, this would be Laurel, I presume. Yeah, Laurel.
I think he's learning to ride.
Oh, yeah, this is in Golden. Now, Josh was pretty good at learning to ride and so forth. This is me and my mother when I was about 10 or 11 years old in Elk City. And that's the Elk City High School marching band. There I am in the front right row with my trombone at the ready. And this is a part of my graduating class with me in the middle there. Ralph Bilbrey on the right and Esther Hall on the left. And this would be me about the time that I went away to college, say in 1937.
Hollywood audition picture.
Yeah. And this was in college, writing my memoirs. My mother's picture, And this was at Central State College on Mother's Day, and Mother came over to Edmond, and that was what that was, in front of Murdaugh Hall. This is Fred Calkins and myself down at Daytona Beach one Labor Day with our Oklahoma cowboy boots on, sitting on Marie's car, which was a Buick. And that's Lieutenant Victor R. Pool.
Defending our shores.
Defending our shores, right. And Lieutenant Victor R. Pool on duty in the Philippines. This was right near a place called Wawa Dam outside of Manila, a very rugged area. And that's me in my tent with the in Manila, and that's the folded up mosquito net, mosquito bar you see in the back behind my head there.
Where's your tie?
You don't wear ties in the Philippines. Douglas MacArthur decreed that. And that's there in our tent in the Philippines. Our tent had a floor. It wasn't completely primitive, but and electric lights. And this is on Missionary Ridge in Chattanooga. That's Robert Poole, staff writer of LA Times there on my right. And that's me and Judy and Jose in Fountain City when we first moved to Knoxville. Yeah. That's one of many birthdays. Yeah. Fire department finally made us stop that. And there, Judy and Buzz and I are taking a Saturday walk above, over near the Francis Lederer's place, looking down on the future West Valley. And this is me on aboard the SS Marine Panther on the way home from overseas as we approached San Francisco Harbor. Don't know where this is, but I had hair anyway. Yeah. That's Martee and Bob in Decatur while I was overseas. And this is right after I got back from overseas, and Bob latched onto my exposure meter, which I brought home with me. And I think this was the beginning of his interest in photography. And this would be 4 generations. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Martee's not in this one, but that's grandmother Petty and Joe's sister and Bob. And there's Bob again with the exposure meter.
He did hang out of that, didn't he?
Yeah, rubber pants and all. And that's Martee. I think she was walking into Rossville to probably to do some shopping or something. She had to walk nearly a mile around Missionary Ridge. We didn't have a car at that time. And that's Bob on the front porch on Jackson Street in Decatur. This would be about 1947. And that's Martee, and I've forgotten the gal's name. We were at an IEEE, then it was AIEE meeting up near Fontana Dam in East Tennessee. This would have been about 1952. And there I am, taking Bob for a little walk in his stroller. Notice the difference in the strollers in 1948 and now. And this is Bob about the time he started to school in front of our house on Hale Road in Knoxville.
Those knickers he's wearing?
Knickers, right. And Judy at the same time, same house. She would have been about 4 there. Maybe 5. And we're going back a little bit. That's Bob, long about 1948. It's about 3. And that's Bob and me in front of Chickamauga Dam in Chattanooga. Naturally, I was working for TVA at the time.
She built that dam.
So I built that dam, right? And this was on one of our family outings in the Smoky Mountains. Just Jimmy and Robert and Dot with her back to us and a flock of kids. And this is at about the same time, the little stream behind the house that we rented in Gatlinburg, or just outside Gatlinburg.
Water moccasin.
Yeah, water moccasins there. There's Betsy and Jimmy in the background and Martee on the trail. And that's little pugnacious Joe on the beach somewhere. I think this was in Florida. Must have been in Florida. It had to be. And this is in Knoxville on Hale Road. That must be Bob. Yeah, I thought it was Joe at first, but Joe wasn't. He he was around, but he wasn't that big. There's Daddy Joe chomping on his cigar. It's back around 1948. And this is in Gatlinburg. The McElraths and part of the Pools, just Martee, I guess, on a footbridge.
How thin Robert is.
Mm-hmm. And this is the house that we rented at the Methodist campground, I think they called it, Assembly, or in Gatlinburg. And this would be Judy and one of her friends, a Thompson girl, I believe, in Knoxville. Judy again. There's Joe. See where? This was.
Looks like Florida.
Huh?
That looks like Florida.
No, that's Hale Road.
I wasn't old enough.
You weren't old enough though. Where was that? I don't know where that one was. This one is in Gatlinburg. Probably in that little stream behind the house we rented. It's Ann and Jane. And where that was, I don't know.
Maybe somewhere out here in California.
That's in California, yeah. And let's see, who's Julia? That's my mother's gravestone in Knoxville. And that's Roberta Petty's gravestone in Jackson, Tennessee. And that's the Pool kids in at Hale Road, and that would be Pupper, the dog. He got run over later. And Martee and it's at Hale Road. I'm not sure. That must be Joe. Judy and Joe talking to each other through the hose at Hale Road. We didn't have a garage there, but that gravel driveway was where we parked the car. And Carolyn and I went there. We found they've added a garage there since we lived there. Hale Road again with Joe. We had about 17 or 18 pine trees in the yard. This is Judy. Let's see, this would be in Florida, I think. No, that's probably here. Let's see.
How about this, Florida?
Yeah, I guess it's Florida, right. Judy and Jane, Swinging Jane. And that's in Florida. And that's Judy and her bike in our backyard in Florida.
She never did learn how to ride that right.
No, she didn't. That's Jane, also in Florida. This is about 1958, 57, 58. I think this is over on the Gulf side of in Florida. We made a trip over there. And then this would be when we made a trip to Key West on one of the keys. It's Jane, Florida vintage. And I don't know, I guess that's Judy and me in Florida when we, this goes back to a time, not when we lived in Florida, but when I think this was at Corpus Christi, actually. We made a trip to San Antonio and then around, and we lived in Knoxville at the time. And let's see, where would this house be? Gosh, I don't know. This is about the time we lived in Knoxville. That's our backyard at Hale Road. And
Judy's blessing.
yeah, Judy's petting the, what was our dog's name? Not Pupper. Gosh, I've forgotten. Good dog, though. Bob, gingerly touching him. This is Soapbox Derby in West Palm Beach. No one participated in it. We just went to see the fun.
Wasn't Bob there?
I don't think so. I don't believe he was. Bob, this is in front of our house in West Palm Beach, looking down towards the Lake Worth. Beautiful street. Now, let's see. This would have been up in Sequoia, I guess. On one of many trips.
I think so.
And this is Jane and Ann and Martee. We were out to see the spring flowers out around Palmdale, Lancaster. That's Judy.
Just anything we had a film of.
Yeah, we had a film of that. Martee at Grand Canyon. And here we are in Death Valley at the dunes. It's not the Sahara. And there's the spirit of Canoga, Judith Rebecca Pool. Judy the graduate. And that's the family group shot. We had a film of that too. Buzz and Ann. Buzz looks little tiny, doesn't he? After being used to Misha and Heidi. And this is Martee on the way to Catalina.
Look at those sunglasses.
Yeah. Hollywood type sunglasses. Jane with a birthday cake in her lap. Beats me what this is one of the track meets. This was the one in East LA. And this is the teepee jobs to end all teepee jobs. The tree in front of our house. And that's Joe and Don Clark, right?
That's finishing the John.
Finishing the John Muir Trail. And there's Robert Pool, the defender of the country. And there's Joe Pool, the cause of all the trouble. And there's the very emotional mama with her cigarette and crying about what she sees. Family group shot. The Browns. David in the middle, Eleanor, Bill on the left. Our former next door neighbors. And that's our house, our former house in Florida on Lakewood Road. And that would be Alice Bell School in Knoxville, where Bob was started, where I was a PTA president one year. And that's Hale Road, a house on Hale Road. All those pine trees are gone now, by the way. Some blight hit them. That's Joe's graduation. Judith Rebecca. Victor Robert. Martee. Not one of the best pictures of her. Judy. Ran?
Bouncing still.
Oh. And there we are again on Morrow Rock. I think that's Ellen, isn't it? Bathing Beauty Jane. Watching a spaceship go over. That's Judy and Joni. Did Joni go up to Morrow Rock with us? I'd forgotten that. Don't know who he is. T. Caltech. And there's Jane, the drill team gal from El Camino. And let's see, that would be where? Just the ocean, obviously, but exactly where I don't remember. Must be down around Malibu.